Will, you used the term governance, and that's the kind of the theme of the next part of this conversation. Managing risk is a responsibility of management, but it's really high on the short list of things that boards talk about. So, what are some of the potential risks and challenges of a digital transformation project?
So governance is a great term for it, and managing risk, because you have to, like any scientific experiment, proof of concept, you have to have controls around it. You have to have guide rails of not only what you want to achieve, which is what you're driving towards, but how do you keep it aligned to what the original vision was? That might be managing cost. That might be understanding new risks you're introducing to the organization if it is something new that you're doing, and also how you not just point in time, but how you need to scale that governance with the transformation as well, because ultimately transformation means something new, right? And you've got to have some different controls and a different way of thinking every time you do something new.
When you think about managing risk, are there red flags that the board should be able to spot, indicating whether a company is on track, off track, going too fast, going too slow?
Absolutely. There's the traditional ones that everybody thinks about: cost management, project plan, milestones, this sort of just good hygiene for any sort of program or project. The one thing that is a little bit different about transformation is, and you would think it's technology, but it's really not. It's organizational change management, because it is something new that the organization is doing. How are we managing change? How are we engaging the groups of individuals that are going to be impacted by this, and how are we getting their buy-in? That's oftentimes where we see a lot of transformation projects fail. It's not a technology issue where the technology didn't work, or they couldn't be implemented correctly. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's that organizational change that people aren't along for the ride. It's just viewed as strictly a technology project. The other thing I would say is generally end-to-end integration and thinking about it holistically. While you put controls around what that proof of concept or experimentation is, it's going to impact a lot more in the organization than just what that business case or what that use case was. And thinking about the upstream and downstream implications, communicating that and planning for it, that's the other thing that the board should be asking those questions around. What are you doing for change management, and how are we understanding the overall impact of this technology to the organization?
Well, I think you touched on it, but let me put a finer point on it. What are some mechanisms that you see successful companies on these journeys doing in terms of the board participating, providing guidance, and if and when needed, making course corrections so that everybody's successful?
I think setting up that initial expectations in what that business case is, so everybody's aligned with, back to your point in the very first question, what is digital transformation? The board's going to have one thing in their mind from their experience. The team might have a different thing in mind. Setting that clear expectation right up front so everybody is on the same page is absolutely critical. And then going with your regular touch points of, here are the things we're going to report on, here are the metrics we're going to look at, here are the controls and the risks that we're worried about, tying that back to the overall enterprise risk to make sure that there aren't any gotchas or any blind spots that you've got later on. And then that regular cadence of, here's our progress here, in clear and honest communication. And it's nothing that's probably surprising to anybody to hear, but setting that expectations, back to your very first question, what is this project? What is this digital transformation? What are we trying to do? Is absolutely critical.